What is up everyone, and welcome to Valorant Gun Guides. In this series we will be going over each gun in Valorant and explaining what they do and how best to use them. In this video we will be talking about shotguns, aka the noob tubes. In Valorant there are currently 3 shotguns: the Shorty, which is classified as a sidearm or secondary, the Bucky, and the Judge. Let's take a look at shotguns as a whole and then explain their differences. All guns in Valorant are hit scan, meaning that when you click to fire, the game draws what is essentially a laser between you and the target to determine whether you hit them or not. For most guns, this means drawing lines one at a time, allowing for aim adjustment between each bullet. Shotguns are unique in Valorant in that they shoot multiple shots at the same time, other than the alternate fire on the classic pistol. Each pellet in a shotgun is a small and individual piece of damage. The pellets are fired in a random distribution within the circle that your crosshair becomes when you use a shotgun. For this reason, the closer you are to the target, the better chance you have of hitting them with multiple pellets. One other nice thing about shotguns is that they have almost no accuracy penalty while moving, which means that you can run and gun to your heart's content. Jumping, however, will affect your spread quite a bit more. It's also important to note that you move slower with shotguns as well, making them best for holding angles and waiting for enemies to come to you, though this is obviously not always possible. Now let's go ahead and look at each of the individual shotguns. When you open up the buy menu, you can see all the important detail about the guns. The Shorty is a sidearm or secondary weapon that costs 200 credits and fires 15 pellets at once. The issue, however, is that you only have 2 shots before you have to reload. Each pellet does 24 damage to the head, 12 to the body, and 10 to the legs at close range, but experiences damage fall off after 7 meters. For reference, this is 5 meters, and this is 10 meters. This gives you a maximum damage of 360 if all 15 pellets are headshots, which is extremely unlikely. As you can see, the Shorty also has a very wide spread, even at close range, which means that it's quite difficult to land enough pellets to kill someone with one shot. Realistically, because you only have 2 shots before reloading, the Shorty is only super effective in that 7-meter range, unless you can escape and reload after firing. You can see that even at 10 meters, the Shorty becomes more of a 4-shot kill with a reload in between. It should be noted, however, that you can reduce the spread of your pellets by crouching to get slightly better damage numbers at longer ranges. Shotguns are also unique in that because of the spread of the bullets, you don't want to aim at the head of the player that you're firing at. Notice how if we put the center of the crosshair on their head, a fairly large amount of the circle, which represents the spread of the pellets, is entirely missing the player. Instead, try to hit them in the center of mass where more of your pellets have a chance of landing. The most consistent place I have found is to aim basically directly at their hands or slightly above them if they are facing you with a gun out. Even then, you will sometimes get unlucky with the spread and miss a one-shot kill unless you are right in front of the player. That being said, the Shorty is capable of killing a fully armored opponent in one shot, which can make it a great gun to hold choke points with if you are on an economy round saving credits, or if you're on a pistol round. The Shorty is also a decent secondary option when using a longer range weapon like the Operator or Marshal if you think that the other team may rush your position. Let's move on to the Bucky, which costs 900 credits and also fires a 15 pellet burst. The Bucky is a pump action weapon, which means that you can only fire about 1 shot per second, as your character needs to pump the gun in between shots. No, not like that, you weirdos. Each pellet does 46 damage to the head, 23 to the body, and 19 to the legs at a super close range of 3 meters for a maximum of 690 damage if all of the pellets hit the head. The Bucky experiences damage fall off after that, but has a good damage number between the 3 and 7 meter mark, which remains pretty consistent for being a one-shot kill. Even at 7 to 11 meters, it will usually be a 2-shot kill, but beyond that, the Bucky becomes pretty hard to use. The Bucky can be fired 5 times before reloading, but can also be reloaded 1 cartridge at a time if you need to quickly add a little bit of firepower in the middle of a fight. It is also important to remember that the Bucky has the slowest run speed in the game alongside the Judge, which we will talk about next. What makes the Bucky truly unique and super fun to use is its powerful alternate fire that helps you extend your effective range significantly. By right-clicking, you fire a canister of pellets that explodes at a 7.5 meter distance. This canister only does 40 damage to the head if it impacts before exploding, and it doesn't fire the pellets that way, but effectively extends your range by 7.5 meters. Because when the canister explodes, it releases all 15 pellets in a more accurate spread from that point. This means that anything up to 10.5 meters away will take damage as if you had fired at them from the 0 to 3 meter distance. As you can see, the spread on the alternate fire is quite small initially, which means that you can do incredible damage numbers with the Bucky at much longer ranges than you might expect. Like the Shorty, the most consistent way to aim the Bucky is to go for center of mass, even with the alternate fire. I like to aim for just above the hands with the regular fire, and maybe just a little bit higher, closer to the neck with the alternate fire. The Bucky is a great weapon at holding corners and choke points, but also gives you some more flexibility to take fights with the alternate fire. It only costs 900 credits, and it can be very strong when your economy is low, or if you're just not really feeling like aiming much today. Speaking of aim, let's talk about the Judge, arguably Valorant's most noob-friendly gun. Costing 1600 credits, the Judge is a fully automatic shotgun with a 7-round magazine and a 3.5 shot per second rate of fire. The Judge only shoots 12 pellets per burst instead of 15 and does 34 damage to the head, 17 to the body, and 14 to the legs. This means that there is a maximum damage number of 408 if all 12 pellets hit the head. Again, pretty unlikely. It also has the most forgiving damage fall off of any of the other shotguns, which starts at 10 meters and decreases a little bit slower than the other ones as well. The Judge also has the smallest initial pellet spread of any of the shotguns, making it more accurate at longer distances, but that spread will increase to be quite large as more shots are fired in quick succession using the automatic firing rate. It also is the only shotgun that has crosshair recoil if you're firing in full automatic mode, so that your crosshair will drift upwards and sway slightly from side to side that you'll have to control. The Judge is a pretty reliable one-shot kill at close range and a two-shot kill at about 10 meters. Like most shotguns, the Judge starts to lose effectiveness between about 15 and 20 meters, but it is amazing at holding a choke point against a rush from multiple enemies, especially if they do not have armor, and is also quite good at rushing onto site when expecting defenders to play close by. It is definitely one of the favorite weapons of mobile characters like Jett and Raze on economy rounds for this reason. Now that we know about the guns individually, let's just briefly talk about when and how to use them as a whole. Shotguns are all pretty situational weapons that make a lot more sense when defending, because obviously the attackers have to come to you. Unlike Counter-Strike, however, there are agents in Valorant such as Jett, Raze, Yoru, and likely to be more that can instantly close the gap to an enemy to bring you within effective firing range with a shotgun. This means that there is definitely some added agent-specific viability to these weapons on the attacking side. Still, the best way to use a shotgun is to ambush your opponents as they come towards you. This can be done either in the form of holding a close angle, such as around a corner in a hallway, and waiting for them, or you can peek them as they get closer from behind a corner, strafing back and forth. In both cases, it's a good idea to have an escape route in mind due to the small amount of shots that you can get off before having to reload. This ambush and escape playstyle definitely favors mobile agents, such as the duelists that we mentioned, or sentinels who are built to lock down a small area and then retreat behind their utility like Killjoy or Cypher. All in all, shotguns are a very high damage and cheap but highly situational category of weapons to use, and definitely one that is worth adding to your toolkit but not relying on when you're trying to play the game. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something that you didn't know, and as always, we will see you in another video very soon.